Nate, have you seen that the ex-director of the FBI, James Comey, has been indicted by a grand jury on obstruction of justice and essentially perjury, making false statements to a Senate committee? The only FBI director ever to face such charges. Do you remember? Do you remember much about the real detail of Operation Crossfire Hurricane in 2016 when the Dems tried to take down Trump, and then all the Mueller report and all of that? Do you remember?
I remember bits. Yeah, I remember bits of it. I thought nothing ever happened though. I thought things didn't. Yeah, this looks like something's happening.
Nothing counts as happening unless it's a world war, though.
Oh, so, right. Okay, sure. All right, yeah. Fair, I guess.
Until there's a paradigm shift in the entire world's balance of power, it doesn't count as anything happening.
Right, yeah, okay, cool.
Meanwhile, those of us that aren't married to an absurd idea realise that things are happening. Seems like Trump is actually beginning to drain the swamp. Something he promised back in the 2016 campaign, but was basically thwarted all through his first presidency, or just didn't have the political acumen, I think. There's a number of reasons why he didn't really get any of it done first time round. But now, well, it's Trump 2.0, isn't it? So he's actually starting to get it done. So a little bit of detail on Jim Comey, old Jimbo. What he did, he was Obama's man. He was Obama's man at the FBI from 2013 through to 2017 when he was fired relatively shortly after Trump got in. He was the head of the FBI. And there was some sort of conspiracy, in the true sense of the word, in the run-up to the 2016 presidential election, where Obama, Clinton, and Comey, and many others obviously now, it seems, got together and said, what can we do to thwart the bad orange man? Like, get anything we can on him, as much shit as we can sling at him, to make sure he doesn't become president. Because if nothing else, we know he's not entirely on board with everything we've been trying to do. And if you haven't got enough dirt on the man, make it up. And that's
that sounds awfully undemocratic.
They got a spook called Christopher Steele, a counterintelligence officer. Just a filthy lying spook. They got him to come up with a dossier which said all sorts of crazy shit, basically trying to paint Trump as like a Russian Manchurian candidate. He's the hand-picked puppet of Putin and an enemy of America. Right? That's in all sorts of ways. That's what the Steele dossier said. And despite everything they tried, Trump still won in 2016. Right? He still won. And they didn't see that coming. So afterwards, Trump he fires Comey pretty soon after becoming president because he realizes Comey is just a cuckoo in the nest. He realizes he's just an enemy within the gates. So he fires him. They get Robert Mueller to do an investigation over what all that was about, right? And everyone, like the CNN and the MSNBC types, the Rachel Maddows and the Brian Stelzers of the world, are hoping that Robert Mueller will come out and say, yes, we've done a full house cleaning, proper investigation. Took us 2 years to do it. It turns out Trump is, in fact, in the pocket of Putin, and he is his puppet. And Mueller eventually comes out and says, there's not really, essentially, anyway, dialed back version is, there's nothing there. That's just not the case. The Steele dossier was kind of bullshit. Yeah. In fact, there was a bit of a dirty little element of it came from British intelligence. Not proud of that. But there you go. Intelligence services are dirty bastards. That's their stock in trade, is to be dirty bastards. So after the Mueller report, and the likes of Rachel Maddow just have to suck on it, again, they put John Durham into looking at, so if there was nothing there, how did all of this sort of happen? And eventually he comes to the conclusion that basically somebody like James Comey or various other people in the intelligence community, not just the FBI, but the CIA as well, you probably should have realized that the Steele dossier and other things like that, other sources like that, you probably should have realized they were nonsense, shouldn't you, really? And then it's left there. And then you got the Biden years. So, of course, no one's brought to account for any of this during the Biden years because, of course, right? Biden, or rather Biden's handlers, i.e. still the Clinton and Obama clique, they're not gonna force the Biden Department of Justice to investigate and indict them, right? So we have to wait till Trump gets back in. They tried everything during the Biden years, didn't they, to ruin Trump? Like multiple lawfare and cases against him.
To the point they were trying to put him in prison so he couldn't, become a felon, so then he couldn't become president or all this other kind of crap. It was just, it was mental, like actually mental stuff.
And anything they could throw at him, like raiding Mar-a-Lago for documents that he's allowed to have as an ex-president. Anything they could. Get Letitia James down in New York to sling as much crap at him as she could, and on and on and on. But lo and behold, the Donald only goes and wins in 2024. 45-47, baby. So now it's the redemption arc, it's the revenge arc. And so Trump gets he's got Pam Bondi at Justice. And he says, look, these people like Comey they're guilty as hell. Like, it's kind of a slam dunk that they're guilty. Prosecute them. I don't care that that's not really the way it's been done in DC for decades, that you don't really go after super senior officials that have been shown to be corrupt or even done criminal things. We kind of let each other get away with it, essentially. No, we're done with that. They tried to ruin me loads for like 8 straight years. They tried to absolutely end me, both politically. Oh, and he did get shot in the ear, if you remember that one. Anyway, they tried to ruin me. So it's my turn, and they deserve it. They are guilty. Now, people in the left-wing media, or you'll get like someone like Chuck Schumer go on CNN or something and say, this is just Trump acting as a tyrant. This is a president acting above and beyond, is fully authoritarian, acting above and beyond what's reasonable or necessary. No, he's actually just seeking justice, as far as I can tell.
Trying to implement the law? Oh, it's a tyrant, tyrannical. He's trying to implement the law, but that's tyrannical. What an authoritarian guy. Yeah, shut up. Yeah. What was it that they did then to Trump? Right. What was that then?
Yeah. It's all right when they do it. It's justified. It's cool even when they do it. Because it's taking down the new orange Hitler, isn't it? It's taking down a fascist and a bigot.
Yeah, of course.
So it's the right thing to do when they do it. So anyway, so Trump, in fact, was not happy with the fact that justice were not being quick enough about taking down people like Comey. And on Truth Social a few days ago, he basically said explicitly, like, Pam, what are you doing? Like, we know this guy is guilty as hell. Get it done, right? And in fact, Trump even fired a prosecutor in Virginia, because Comey's being prosecuted in federal court in Virginia. Fired him and put in one of his own people who's going to push the case. But what are the details? What have they actually got old Jimbo on? Right, it's actually a relatively small thing. So in 2017, after he'd been fired, he went before a senatorial committee and just said all the lies about Russia, that this man Trump is like a stooge for the Russians, and the Russians through him mean to completely subvert and pervert the United States. I mean, it is true, isn't it, to some degree, that Russia and America are still sort of geopolitical enemies, and if Putin and Russia could destabilize the United States, it's in their interest to do that. So that is true. But the idea that Trump is literally Putin's man was always just a complete lie.
Yeah.
Right. So
unfounded as well. Completely unfounded.
And there are loads of other details. Won't get too much into the weeds of it, but like, for example, Comey leaked to someone, a third party. It might have been McCabe, his deputy, or it might have been, who knows who it was, leaked to somebody confidential details of conversations he had with Trump, who then in turn leaked it to the press, to the media. And then he'd said under oath that he hadn't done that. So that's lying under, that's like a type of perjury, isn't it? I mean, it's not a court, like speaking before a senatorial committee is not the same as a court, but still you're lying and you're perjury. And then in 2020, when all this came up again, he then sort of formally stood by what he'd said back in 2017. And again, well, a grand jury of normal people, they're not Trump picks, they're completely normal people, a grand jury, like any other jury. They found that he had obstructed justice and made false statements, which is a crime. He could be facing up to a whopping 5 years. So, in the scheme of things, not a giant. No,
but it sends a message, doesn't it? It sends a message.
Yeah.
That's the thing, right? It breaks from the status quo, it breaks from the tradition. And it says, you know what? No, actually, no, this isn't okay. No, you need to buck your ideas up, because we're willing to play this game, actually. And that's powerful. It's not as we say when, you know, the stormtroopers come around arresting people in this country, the process is the punishment, right? That's the punishment. It's not the end goal. Like the 5 years is nothing really. It's the process. It's the humiliation ritual that Comey will go through. You know, it's the message itself being sent out to everyone that like that old tradition, it's off the table now.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And it may well be that Comey is sort of just the beginning. If Trump sort of truly committed politically in terms of spending political capital, spending his time, which is obviously limited, in the White House, spending a lot of that on draining the swamp, for want of a better expression. Right, whether we'll go after people like Clapper or people that in the CIA, all sorts of people in the intelligence services, in the Biden administration, in the old Obama administration, perhaps even Hillary herself. You know, where you need certain dominoes to fall in a certain order, really, if you're going to do this sort of thing, like truly go to war with the deep state. And it's not like in the next generation or in the next Democratic administration, which there is sure to be one at some point, even if Vance wins next time, at some point in the future there'll be a Democrat president again. It's not like people like Comey won't be swapped out for a new version of Comey, but as you say, it's sending the message that we won't just let you get away with it scot-free. That you will face consequences if we've got anything to say about it. And I suppose I think it's just interesting because it is setting a new precedent. I've talked a few times about the parallels with the late Republic of Rome in the second and first century BC. The way there was sort of tit for tat lawfare going on for, well, in their case, because the world moved a lot slower in almost every metric, for generations before it turned into full-blown bloodshed and eventually warfare, eventually civil war. But the parallels there, particularly in the generation of Marius and Sulla, you can consider going over to lotuseaters.com, signing up for as little as £5 a week, and behind the paywall, you've got literally dozens of hours of me talking about late Republican Rome, quite a few hours talk about Marius and Sulla, and then the era of Pompey and Caesar, the way a republic can start eating itself into oblivion in the end. So many parallels with what's going on here, with what Obama and the Clintons began and what Trump is now reacting to, and what is to come after. But at the moment, it's Jim Comey in the crosshairs, and it looks like, I mean, it will actually be, just to finish up, really, it'll probably be quite a difficult case. Actually, it's going to go to trial. He's been indicted, right? It's going to go to trial. It'll probably be quite a difficult case, so I understand, for the prosecutors to win, because it will boil down to, like a lot of things, it boils down to my word versus yours. I claim I just didn't do these things, and the state claims against me that I did do these things, and it will end in a judge, a magistrate, or jury deciding who's telling the truth and who isn't. That can fall either way. That the cards really are up in the air when that's the case. It won't be just, here's some slam dunk physical evidence, like a DNA thing, where it's millions to one that you didn't do this. No, it won't be that. It will be my word against yours. But either way, the fact that Trump's sort of pushing the envelope, actually making the Department of Justice, making these people answer for what they've done, that in and of itself is an important step in this process of the Republic either healing itself or walking ever further into the darkness. I mean, we'll see. History will judge which way that goes.